Despite several campaigns against every form of sexual abuse, rape in particular has continued unabated. As police parades suspects during court sessions and on pages of newspapers, we are confronted with unsavory tales of this act of debasement, where the consent of women are either flagrantly ignored or the girl child comes face to face with untamed and beastly lust. How did we get here? Who really is the victim? Is it the girl child that the society constantly fails to protect, or the boy child that we have neglected to train? Most importantly, how do we get out of this blight and remove this blemish from our society? We have the right set of people to provide the answers. The time is now, and you're watching the panel where we will be discussing this crucial issue of rising cases of rape in Nigeria. I am Jennifer Igwe. Stay tuned. To discuss this topic today, I have Paris Ado Sanusi, President of Distinguished Ladies Initiative. Thank you for joining us. I have Samson Newton, who is a legal practitioner and member of the Nigerian Bar Association.
Thank you very much.
Joining us online, we have Bumi Tejumola, Community Empowerment for Peace and Health Initiative. Thank you, Bumi. Harry Oguche Obe, the Director, Women and Children, the Nigerian Human Rights Commission, is also joining us online.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so let's start. What are the causes of rape? Because some people will argue that it's indecent dressing, but most of you here have related with victims and you've come across cases. What would you say are causes of rape in Nigeria? Let's start with you, Paris.
That question I really can't answer because I'm not in the brains of the pedophiles and the perpetrators, but I know that it's a very grievous thing to do to any woman. It's not something that should be done to any woman. And somehow I feel it's a mental case. Any man that can do that to any woman or any child should be taken off the street. If possible, go to a mental home first before prison, but they shouldn't be on the street.
So this, in your view, what would you say are the causes of rape?
Well, the causes can be actually very numerous, but one that is not the cause is indecent dressing. Because we have had cases of even kids in diapers, children 6 months, 3 months that are not indecently dressed, defiled and molested. So we should remove the fact that indecent dressing should be said as a cause. I would believe that one, it is a person trying to dominate the other, psychologically try to be there, to gain control of someone else's, both the the psychology, the body, through the use of force. Because very many of these men, or I will not use the word men, very many of these perpetrators can actually get sex if they want to. But the fact that they can take it by force is what really drives them. It's like she said, it's a psychological thing. It drives them to want to dominate.
Well, more like a warped mentality.
A warped mentality.
Okay, so we have a background report we'll take right now to give us a clearer picture of scenarios.
Calm and quiet, Langbasa in Aja is devoid of the usual verve that defines Lagos life. The serene ambience is, however, darkened by a gloomy experience whose loud effect is perverting the tranquility of lives in the environment. 14-year-old Blessing Etta lives with her parents in Langbasa. Her dream is to become an accountant, but barring any special intervention, that aspiration may not see the light of the day. She is now saddled with the responsibility of nursing an unplanned baby, and at a time when her family is impoverished. Blessing was raped at age 13 and became a mother shortly before her 14th birthday. The first path to motherhood happened as she was trying to help her family make ends meet by hawking puff-puff.
I went to sell for him. He then told me that I should come inside. I said no. Then he dragged me inside his house and said that I should remove my clothes. I said no. I should remove my clothes. I said no. Then he pushed me on his bed and lied on me. Then when I was shouting, I covered my mouth and said that when he was on, he gave me 500. He said I shouldn't tell anyone. When I came home, I did not tell my mom.
For Blessing's mother, who is battling a goiter that the lean purse of her family could hardly cope with, the birth of a grandchild, which under normal circumstances would have filled her with joy, has heightened her predicament. Now, the poor woman and her husband are trapped between the burden of her own health, nursing a grandchild, and caring for a daughter who had to go under the knife because her tender features made virginal birth impossible.
I started seeing her eating more than what she's supposed to be eating. Because she's a selective person, they select food. This one, she go cook, go put plenty, go finish them. I can't look her face. I say, Blessing, come. She sit down. I say, everything happen. He say nothing. I say, no, come. She sit down. I say, everything happen. Say nothing. I say, come. Like 3 times. The daddy say, why are you asking her like that now? Blessing cannot do anything. Why are you asking her like that? I say, no, but I look and everything change. I can't tell her, I say, Blessing, come. Anybody touch you like this? Anybody rob you? Anybody touch your breast? He say no. I say okay. And not say I give her thing tomato congo and say go and put your urine and give me. Where she put the thing, where she go and go inside the toilet and bring and put this thing inside. They are accurate. I saw two lines and I don't know what came over me. I started. I said somebody touch you now. He said yes. I said why can't you tell me? He said the man said should not tell me.
The case would have been swept under the carpet, but for the intervention of these women.
The worst part is people get away with these things. It happens every day. I know we cannot work on hearsay, but this particular man in question at the police station, his neighbors came and said he's been doing it. He's done a lot of this same atrocity on children and went away because people were afraid of because of the stigmatization. People don't come out to talk. The only reason this woman came out is because her own resulted into pregnancy.
People are getting away with such things, and the girl child has suddenly become an endangered species in Nigeria, and we want to put a stop to it.
The suspect, a 36-year-old Nigerian, has been charged to court and is in police custody, but all efforts to talk to him proved abortive. Blessing, who was a JSS1 student when the assault occurred, now out of school and trying to come to terms with her new reality.
I want justice. I want to continue my education. I want people to help me.
While there is a glimmer of hope that Blessing may get justice, her ordeal is just one out of many cases of sexual violence in the society, with all the negative impact of such crime on the victims and their families. As the world marks the day for the elimination of sexual violence in conflict, it is also a reminder that rather than stigmatizing victims, the society must rise to provide needed psychological, legal, and financial support for them.
Okay, we have another story on a 16-year-old girl that was raped, and the perpetrator was going around the community bragging But we will take that report after this question I want to ask our legal expert. Now, the Criminal and Penal Codes of 1990 are the major guiding laws for rape in Nigeria. I mean, are the provisions enough, or do we have others that are supporting those laws?
Oh yes, definitely. We have some new laws that have come into play to capture the lacunas or the loopholes that the Criminal and Penal Code could not capture, because at that time the Criminal and Penal Code only talked about penal penetration. But we have seen that the law has moved beyond that. The law, is, for example, the Violence Against People's Prohibition Act provides for any form of that you can either use an object. It can be an object. It's not just restricted to the penis penetrating the vagina for rape to occur. Even if you use any object, you are also guilty of so it goes beyond the laws understand that we have moved beyond the stage that we were as of that time, so it's tried to encompass, and even the laws of Lagos State and as well as other state laws make provision for this to capture all and sundry, to reduce the gap that the perpetrator might slip through in terms of definition of what constitutes rape or sexual molestation.
Okay, let me bring in, before I come to you, Paris, to give us an update on that report that we just watched, let me bring in Bumi Tejumola. Bumi, between 2008 and 2012, analysis of sexual assault cases in Lagos State, for instance, Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, it was said that they had about 287 reported cases of sexual violence, and the majority of them were those below the age of 19. And in the report we just watched now, the girl, she's just someone of 13, I mean, sent on a path she was not prepared for. For children in Nigeria, you have been working with people who have had such harrowing situations. What would be their case if they are raped? What's the first thing that should happen when a child is raped? A minor.
Yeah. What happened first is to report the case at the police station. Most of the desk officers, their gender units have been trained already by UNICEF. So they know the next thing to do, and immediately they make sure that such a victim goes to the clinic to get checked.
But because I know even right now in most homes, sex is discussed in hushed tones, and we keep leaving vulnerable ones ignorant. Is that, do you agree, or would you say that's one of the reasons why we have many young people being raped?
Well, that's amounts to it as well. But then, either you see them roaming around the streets or not, it is not a reason why they should be raped.
Okay, let me bring in Harry. I tried to do something yesterday, or was it the day before yesterday? I tried to pretend that I had a case, and I called the National Human Rights Commission. And I was very impressed that with one dial, a nice young lady picked the call, calmly talking to me, and I think that's good, because I wanted to know if, like, if there's a victim, But I want to know, but how many Nigerians, because we just spoke to Bumi Tejumola, who said that it's important to report the case. But how many Nigerians are well informed on what to do from your experience?
So, averagely, is not up to 40%. So that is why NGOs that are working on this type of things should be encouraged to continue to do sensitization on and on within the community, because that is the only way where people can get the information and know what to do when this occurs.
Okay, the question I asked was actually for Harry. Harry, I was asking, and I gave an instance that I made a call, pretending like I wanted to make a report, and I was impressed that with one dial, somebody from the National Human Rights Commission answered the phone nicely and was talking to me. So I wanted to know how many Nigerians, from your experience, know about all this, the platforms and how to reach out for help.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start by giving a direct answer. It will be difficult for me to put a percentage, but I can only say that the awareness is increasing. More so that COVID, positive side of COVID is the fact that people started looking at alternative ways or means of escalating things that bother them. And so the creation of the particular platform you talked about, which is the call center, the National Human Rights Commission call center, which focuses more on issues of SGBV, was a direct fallout of COVID restriction that prevents people from walking in to lay their complaints. And so through such platforms, then the sensitization by government and non-governmental agencies and persons has increased visibility around the issue of SGBV generally and rape in particular. But considering the population and the size of Nigeria, I think it's still less than 40% of persons that are actually aware of what to do when this thing happens. Because majority of these crimes happen in hard to reach areas. And then in places that are masked by either traditional or practices that revolves around issues of protection of family image, and also so much reliance on whether you're going to get married or not if you have been raped and all that actually lead to all these hush talks that you made earlier, issues of rape. So we still need to do a lot of sensitization.
But I want to ask, from the call center so far, do you get many people called to report rape cases? Oh, okay, we'll get back to Harry. That was an important question.
We get so many people.
Okay.
Yeah, we get a lot of reports on issues bordering on SGBV violence, which rape is one of the cruelest form. Rape is part of it. And so we are getting a lot of reports on issues of rape.
Okay. Okay. Paris, the report we watched earlier on happened some time ago, and I know that the perpetrator has been taken to court.
Yes.
Can you give us an update? What's happening now with that case?
Oh, that case was almost swept under the carpet. You know, like what you asked the first lady, what happens if they call? The parents of that little girl actually tried. They rushed to the police station, they reported, but the police advised them to take just 200,000 and leave the case. And the policeman was even pressing on them, telling them that, look, if you blow this thing, everybody is going to know that your daughter is raped. How about your daughter's future? How about her being married? Yes, so they were using that stigmatization thing as strategy on the parents. It took us a lot to make the woman talk. If you watch the video, you notice she's trying to cover her face. She didn't want to come out because of fear of stigmatization. So even when people report, nothing really happens. I think we're going to have to work more on educating people on not being scared of being stigmatized. If you're not scared of the stigmatization, then you can come out and complain about rape and explain explicitly how it happened. But because of that stigmatization, a lot of them just let's just leave it. Then they use religion to, you know, at court the lawyer, because the man got himself a lawyer. The lawyer called the woman aside, the mother of the victim, told her that asked her what religion she is. She said she's Christian. He said, look, as a Christian, you should forgive. This thing has happened, it has happened.
Forgive, really?
Yes, that's what he used. He said, he even gave an example. He said, you don't, the knife has cut the child. Yes, so you can't.
Done what he wants to do.
Yes. Imagine that kind of proverb. They bring in tradition, religion, everything, and at the end of the day, they suppress these people. So when you that want to speak see what has happened to someone that spoke before, you will not want to speak. And these people don't have money. You can imagine they are trying to keep them quiet with just 200,000.
Okay, there's a report that we wanted to play earlier on a 16-year-old girl that was raped, and her perpetrator had the audacity to be going around the community bragging about his heinous act.
Like on any other night, this 16-year-old girl was in her room awaiting her mother's return from a church program when she heard a terrifying sound from her window. She feared armed robbers' attack, but to her greatest dismay, a notorious boy in her local community, Nongomikono, in Uyo local government area for Akwa Ibom State, Nsisong, broke her louvers and made his way into her room, armed with small weapons. What could have been his intent and reasons?
It was only me in the house, so I was waiting for my mommy to come back, and I was worried whether my mom would not come back. So as I was sitting down in the house, and I saw somebody broke the window and came inside, and she started telling me that anytime I see him in the road, that I did not greet him. I do as if I didn't know him. So I start begging him and tell him that she do not harm me. So she start beating me up. She start beating me up, and she said that she's going to rape me. And I beg him that he should not rape me, that I am on my period. He did not hear. Then she steal my clothes and start raping me.
Threatened by his attempt to stab her, the girl watched the young man in his early 20s defile her innocence in a very dehumanizing way, and she says her life has since not been the same.
He came in with a penknife and a big machete. She said that if I shout or say any word that will make him leave me, that she will kill me.
The girl's mother is more broken by the social stigma this has brought on her family and the devastating implication on her girl's health.
I
came home and my girl, who was menstruating, was rolling on the floor in pain. She told me the boy raped her. I was advised to take her for medical checks, but the boy has continued to boast of his wicked act, and I'm not happy. Both mother and daughter are crying out for justice to prevail. All I want is for the boy to be brought to book.
I want him to go to jail.
While the accused rapist is on the run, his mother and other members of the community have this to say.
I'm so terrified, and I'm still begging that my son and I should be forgiven.
I heard about the ugly accident. It is evil. So, with the involvement of both families, I hope the investigation will be thorough, so that the right action can be taken.
Meanwhile, it bothers most right-thinking members of the community why cases of sexual assault should still be on the increase in spite of the numerous campaigns by government, non-governmental organizations and groups against rape.
The NTA, we have a campaign, we stand against rape and rapists. So there's no hiding place. He can be going around the community bragging, but very soon he'll be behind bars and won't have any mouth to say anything. But let me say something. Did you hear when they were talking about forgiving the child and everything, and what the law says about if you have a rape case, evidence and all that? Do you think eventually something would happen to that boy?
The impediments that might be there might be the lack of evidence per se. Because most times it is important that when a case of rape happens or sexual molestation, the evidence be preserved. For example, if there was if he had penetration without the use of a condom, there would still be a semen in the vagina. All this will help to narrow down because if it gets to court and the guy say I don't know this lady, I've never seen her before. The issue of semen would that contains DNA proves to the letter that this is the perpetrator.
So how do you preserve the evidence?
Immediately rape happens, the first thing you should do is to report.
No, that's not even what I want to ask. My question is, if the person didn't preserve, the person took her bath, the person destroyed all evidence, does that remove the fact that she was raped?
It does not remove the fact that she was raped, but before the court, before the law is devoid of sentiment. The law works strictly with the facts before it. So it is what you present before the law, before the court, that the court will adjudicate upon. Because there is
not everyone that knows this.
That is why there's need for
sounding. Definitely she wouldn't.
But she actually preserved some of this. She preserved the clothes that was torn and everything.
You know, she said she was menstruating, so we should have washed everything away. I'm just.
If she had gone to report immediately, they are said, like for example, I know there's Mirabel Center in Lagos here that has rape kits that immediately they will test.
You just mentioned one center.
I know, that is the one I know of very well because most of the cases I've handled.
Is she in Lagos?
No, she's not in Lagos.
So the other states have theirs too.
Okay. Let me bring Harry. We just watched the case of a young lady that was raped and her perpetrator going about the community bragging. In a situation like that, what should happen?
Yeah, I have to give kudos to NTA and other media outfits that have actually criticizing this. That is one of the first steps to do. But like the colleague in the studio was saying, it is actually very important to preserve evidence because at the end of the day, justice will need those evidence to ground a conviction or to ensure that the person, whoever did that, is properly brought to justice. But on the case that I just played the video, we need multi-stakeholders action to be able to ensure that justice is done. The National Human Rights Commission in that state is already keeping tab on that particular case to ensure that everyone that has a duty or mandate by law to ensure justice play their own part. And you know, we have a lot of laws that have removed some level of technicalities with regard to proof of rape presently. So some form of justice will be done. The girl and her family has already broken the jinx that usually prevents justice being done, and that is by speaking out. So now time does not run against criminality. So definitely the accused will be brought to justice. And the sense of justice that this lady demands, because I heard the victim, I was almost shedding tears. She said, want justice. So we all need to work together to ensure that. I also heard the mention of a particular center in Lagos. Many states also have sexual assault referral centers. Yes. Now, in most of the states, they do the equivalent of what the center in Lagos that you mentioned also carry out. So the best thing is, as soon as it happens, stakeholders need to know what to do. We have preservation of evidence. You also need protection, immediate protection for the victim or the survivor.
Okay,
it's a multi-approach, remedy.
Yes, okay. Let me bring in Bumi, because There's a point where victims get tired and because of stigma don't want to push. Like that girl we just showed now. I mean, it can also lead to depression, and we've had cases of people even committing suicide. So how do we help people cope with the trauma of rape and at the same time ensure they pursue the case and not give up?
Yes, thank you very much. Apart from the fact that they are reported, which is the first stage, and after getting to the police station and getting to places like Mirabel Center to check whatever, out, they need counseling, which most NGOs provide that are working on gender violence. They need to be counseled, because that is how such a victim can get out of the psychological effect. Usually, most of the time, they are being harassed by bringing up religious connotations, traditional connotations, and stigmatizing them. But through proper counseling, they can fight it out. They can live above those psychological effects. And they can actually live well and raise their heads in the community.
I need to establish something.
Samson wanted to add something.
Now we need to understand that the cases of rape or sexual molestation are criminal cases, and the criminal cases are not individuals. It's not individual based. It is the state.
It's not like you suing the person.
Yeah, it is the state that pursues this thing. So if the state has enough evidence, the victim might not even need to take the stand to give testimony.
In most cases, the victim is required to be in court. Like this blessing that this case.
For most times, in cases of minors, the court will always protect the minor. They would never, most courts, which I know of for a fact, would never hear the case of a minor in open court.
I agree. The last time we went to the court, the magistrate said the next time they're coming,
it will be because the court understands that this child needs to be protected.
But I'm just wondering, maybe that's why they say lawyers will not make heaven.
Oh, lawyers are making heaven.
Maybe for moral reasons. Why would lawyers take up cases of
the lawyers
those who have raped people?
Lawyers have a moral and ethical duty to attend to all cases before them. It is even in our books of ethics. We have to take matters before, except maybe there's conflict of interest. So there's in our provision of our law.
Is it okay for you to lie?
Provision of our law says that an accused person is innocent until proven guilty.
So
everybody's innocent.
Forcefully.
No, we are to defend
all the evidence. Like this Blessing's case, there's a child involved. The child looks like the rapist. It's like he threw her out. So there's no question of evidence in this case. The child is already there, and the lawyer is still saying, "What has happened has happened."
And that is not defending forcefully now.
Insinuating that the parents shouldn't have allowed.
But isn't there a way we can also sue lawyers
for defending their clients?
Yes, for defending evil. Well, okay, because talking about ethics, what about? Let me leave lawyers. Your judgment.
There's a question I want to quickly
Your judgment.
ask. Like this, I keep going back to this girl's case because it's like an need. I've been following it. Sometimes they don't even have transport money to go to the court. They can't go to the court. So at the end of the day, this kind of people can be tired easily. So what do you do? Since the court is saying they must be there, the girl has to be there, they will hear from the girl.
And she's even a minor.
Yes, and in all these days that this case has been going on, they've really not spoken to the girl yet. And they've been going to the court and they are getting tired. You understand? So at what point will they now talk to the girl? It's taking too long. So before you know it, the girl and her parents
and I want to say something important. Imagine if you didn't have civil society organizations and counselors like you reaching out to cases like this, and I'm sure they'll just give up and leave it. But I want to also add importantly, because when we talk about moral values, we have cases of family members raping raping minor.
Yes.
Let's watch this report on it happened in Akwa Ibom State, and I'm glad that the wife of the governor is taking the matter up, because since we started our campaign, many people are keen into what we're doing. The wife of the governor is taking that up. A case of 7 fathers who have raped their daughters.
Wow.
There has been an increase in the reported cases of rape across the 31 local government areas of Akwa Ibom State. This has continued despite efforts of the state government and voluntary organizations to clamp down on this monster. Of all the rape cases, none has attracted public condemnation like the recent report of 7 fathers who raped their daughters. At first, when it appears on the social media, many thought it was the usual social media hype until a confirmation came from wife of Akwa Ibom State Governor Martha Udom Emmanuel.
It is true. Those girls will come up on their own to report, my father has been raping me. I am tired. I've personally asked a couple of them, what do you want? And they are the ones that will tell me, ma, we want justice. I will ask them, do you mean you want your father to be behind bars? They will say yes. A couple of them, at least 4 of them have told me that personally.
We made effort to know who these fathers are, but it was unsuccessful, while we were not also allowed access to the victims who are now undergoing rehabilitation. Good enough, Akwa Ibom State has domesticated the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, and the law provides a penalty of a life sentence for rapists and 14 years imprisonment for perpetrators of gender-based violence and any kind of sexual offense other than rape. All that is required now is for victims and their relations to open up and report when it occurs.
We need to look at it in 2 perspectives. Not putting person in life imprisonment can solve the problem. What the problem is, we should look to see what is happening, what is causing this, rape, incessant rape in the country.
So many people have been found guilty, and already we have so many cases in the family court.
Another good thing now is people are talking. They are no more hiding the offenders. The youth will take up upon themselves to arrest and then hand over to the police, and from there they are prosecuted in the court of law.
In the last 6 months, 10 rapists have been convicted in the state. In 2020 alone, 23 also faced the full wrath of the law shortly after Governor Udom Emmanuel signed Violence Against Persons Prohibition Bill into law.
Now, we've just watched that report, because when we're talking about people being raped in the community, in the family, fathers raping daughters, I mean, how horrible can that be?
It's been on for so long. I think the thing is that we are now just getting to know these things. But for a long time, families have been keeping things quiet. It's been uncles raping their nieces, sometimes even aunties going after their nephews. It's been that bad. So, but because of, like we said earlier, stigma, the fear of what people will say, they keep it within the family. So nobody gets to hear. But now people are getting to speak out. People are talking. And that's why we're having this constant reports. There's the social media that's helping people amplify their voices. But it's been on for a long time. I'm very sure if very many of us can look back into our subconscious, we'll remember some of these incidences that's come up one way or the other. But they've kept it locked and as if nothing really happened.
No, but I'm just wondering, let me bring Harry in. I'm just wondering, I mean, your father rapes you. I mean, your father is your father. I mean, your mother, I don't know if mothers, we've not had cases of mothers raping sons. I actually
had a case of
mother raping sons.
Not raping, but sexually molesting. Yes, I've had a case of that once.
Yes. So Harry, this question is actually for Harry. I want to ask, in a case where a family member rapes, like a father raping daughter, how can we handle this kind of issue?
Well, when it has to do with parents, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
When it has to do with parents, okay, when it has to do with parents or someone that has custody or in protective custody of the victim or survivor, it becomes complicated. But the alternative is other people must look out for their neighbors. Whenever you see violation taking place, most times this thing happens within the home front, and there are persons that are well known to the victims. And so a lot of the times, ability to ensure justice now escalates to people outside the immediate abusive environment. So we must have to be our brothers or our sisters' keepers in most of these cases.
Well, I'm just wondering,
so where the person that has the primary responsibility.
I'm just wondering, in a case where maybe a daughter is raped by the father, and that's the only parent she has. What happens? Do we have provisions in the law, like maybe
it's treated the same way? It's treated the same way. That is no longer a parent and a daughter. It's now a perpetrator and a victim. It's the same way. It's the same thing. It's the same
trauma. What about the welfare of the child if the father goes to jail and things like that?
I think the government has provision for to take care of such. We have the Ministry of Child and Social, what's the name, to take care of such children. So we should not, because of the fact that we are afraid of how what will happen to the child, allow a perpetrator to continue to commit the offense. Because if that is the fear, then the child would one day either succumb to our traumas, or in turn be an abuser.
Well, but we've had cases of threats, like in the case, the earlier report that we showed, where the lawyer was even
telling the victim.
I know you're laughing. telling the victim about implication of
because the man is Niger, he was telling the victim's mom that she knows that they are fetish and that they could do a lot to her if she doesn't drop this case, and she should forgive. She should try and forgive. If not, if she keeps pursuing it, these people might kill her and her family. They don't have enough money to move out.
Let me just even ask again, lawyers. Is there a way of reporting a lawyer to the Nigerian Bar Association for misconduct? Because why would a lawyer be telling a victim something like that?
Yes.
If you report, the lawyer is your word against theirs.
But the honest truth is that yes, you can petition a lawyer for misconduct if he has gone out of the bounds of ethic. It is for you to also prove your case before, because you cannot just by word of mouth, because anybody can say anything.
Yeah. Okay, so Bumi, let's bring in Bumi. Let's talk about incest. If a boy or a girl is raped at home, how can we manage a situation like that?
That is more of it's a psychological thing. It is what should be handled properly by professionals after the normal complaint at the police station, and taking it up legally. Then both the parents, before he goes to jail, had to be cancelled, and the child in particular, because it's the child that will live with that all through her life. So such a victim had to be cancelled properly, professionally, so you can live outside the justice being given to her, by the government or by the society. But it is the first thing is for the victim to get out of the psychological problem that had caused, because most people that have gone through such, especially if it is through a parent, it's usually linger on all through their lives. Even when they get old, to the level of get matured, of getting married, they continue to have this psychological problem. So that is what I see.
Yeah, you are trying to share an experience of a victim.
Yeah, a friend's younger sister. She's also like a younger sister to me. Just yesterday, coincidentally, we were talking about sex, marriage, and all that, and she told us blatantly that she doesn't like sex. I'm like, why? Why would you say that? She said nothing. I said, so are you going to be looking at your husband like that? She said, no, when she's ovulating, she'll manage, she'll close her eyes and her light. I said, what could have prompted that? She took a deep breath and told me that she was raped while she was going to write her GC, you know, those days where you leave your village to another village to write GC. So she said she went to the neighboring village and her best friend's boyfriend raped her. She said she was so sick. She had malaria fever. She couldn't even get up. She was shivering. He came into the room. He knew she was sick. He raped a sick girl. That they even came. They gave her drip. She was on drip. Yes, this guy yanks the drip off. Yes, raped her. And after it, he went about bragging in the street. She didn't finish that GC because of that, because she was so embarrassed. She could not look at anybody in the face. She said till tomorrow she's living with that thing. I told her, where is this guy? We can still look for him. It doesn't matter, even if there's no evidence or anything, but let's look for him so that
you have closure.
Yes.
So you have closure.
Yes.
Oh my God!
You can imagine.
The trauma is actually very damaging, and the problem is that there's no time limit to when you heal. I have a friend that has a similar problem, and this one was even the fact that she was defiled by her grandfather, and every time she has to be with a man, it's a trauma. So, and the thing about trauma is that anything can trigger it. It can be maybe the sound of a particular bird that was the same thing that happened that day, or a particular smell that triggers, and you're remembering every act, every action, and it goes to your mind, and most times they get to blame themselves.
No, but I'm just thinking, do you know we've seen cases of celebrities who were jailed years after they raped people. So I'm wondering, can things like that happen in Nigeria?
Oh yes, it can. It's because many of the cases that we had were because there was corroboration. So once you're showing a pattern, the court cannot turn a blind eye to a pattern. If 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 51 people come out to say you did this to them, it means that there's a pattern. 51 people cannot just lie. So there was a pattern. So the court would look at patterns. So circumstantially, the court can actually say, okay, yes, this man is guilty because there is a pattern. But if there is no pattern, how will the court adjudicate?
So at the end of the day, if it's just one person that the rapist raped and
it's been long, there's no yes.
So that means
because
there's so many rapists walking on the street.
And that's the truth.
Wow.
And that's the honest truth.
What we always do on this program, we allow people on the streets to have a say on any of the topic we're discussing. So we'll take that vox pop now.
Buy clothes that will cover the sensitivity of their children up to their nails. Because if a child is wearing, a mother is wearing spaghetti, and the mother will go to the market and buy the same spaghetti, if the child goes out tomorrow, he will wear macaroni. Yes, because even when if you are exposing your sensitive organs, there is no how a man that is not well trained will not see you on the road and begin to agitate for what is not available.
Some people, they will leave their child of 2 years to a neighbor. They call him neighbor, but they never understand that neighbor. Some will leave it to their person, say uncle. They call him uncle, they never understand that uncle. Some will leave it to somebody, say brother, maybe church brother or Muslim brother, but you never understand that very person, and you are leaving your child. So the first thing to do, it is the parents that will be able to do what? Protect their children. We see that even teachers in the school rape little children of 2-3 years because these children are close to them, and they can do, because they call them children, they don't know anything. They don't even understand what they want to do.
If a child below the age of 10, you sleep with such a child, what are you doing to her? You are killing her. And we all know that somehow we have heard of this VVF thing, which we think, or medical this thing have been able to establish, is that children who start having sex at a very early age end up having that VVF disease.
Definitely, without the knowledge of the person, you have a carnal knowledge with her. He will definitely feel so bad. He will feel so bad. Anytime he remember, he will feel so bad. So it's not good. We have a negative effect. or her.
We've heard the views of people on the street, but I want to take the first woman.
Yes, I don't agree with that.
You know, when people always say indecent dressing, the same Nigerians who will travel abroad and see people almost naked will come back to Nigeria and see people who are not even decently dressed. I mean, because when you say indecent dressing, I think that is subjective, because what is decent to you might not be decent decent to me. But we've just talked about
even the first time I was saying, I
children
raised
in Pampers being raped. Is that indecent dressing?
Even women in full hijab, with full hijab.
What attracts another man is different. Some people might be the fingernails they see. It might be the hair. So you can't.
I don't know if you can recollect someone that was a lady that was reading in church, that was raped in church in Benin.
Yes, while
even nuns are being raped.
So I'm very sure she was not indecently dressed when she was in church.
We have also had a case of a 65 a woman, I think 85-year-old woman who was raped. I mean,
so the issue is not the issue. I've said it.
So you now say she was also indecently dressed?
No, we cannot use the issue of dressing.
And that thing comes up and makes them end up blaming the victim.
I mean, and when they get pregnant,
it's not even that. I mean, it starts from why did you go to his house? Why did you go and visit?
Yes.
Why did you go at this time? Because I had a case that we went to the police station. That was what the police was asking. Why you said go? Why you said go in house at that time? If you go to the house at 1 a.m., does not mean that I am asking to be raped. No, that's the thing. So that because that why you go in house for 10? Does it make any sense? Because even at the police, we need to. It's not a joke. It's actually real.
No, the one I heard was a joke. The guy said, "Oh, you went to his house at so time." Say, okay. When you got to his house, you changed. You took your bath. You changed. He said, okay, write it down. So you wash his shirt and lay down.
So all these things, we try to make it. We try to make rape. We try to joke about it, but it is actually what is actually happening, and they try to use it to justify. Like, why did you come to my house? Why are you dressed? No. When she says no is no.
No is no.
And there's some people that cannot.
Even if you've gone out.
Children of 16 cannot say no. They cannot even consent.
I mean, a girl of 6. What is no?
Cannot consent. So some things should not be.
Okay, so because we'll be ending the program soon. So last word from you, Harry. Harry, are you there? Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much. The last word from me is that people should speak out and know where to go to whenever this thing happens. Then we must also look out for victims or survivors, because one of the greatest effects of traumatic experience like that is it diminishes your ability to scream or speak out by yourself. So the responsibility now shifts to neighbors to actually speak for them. And then rape and other sexual and gender-based violence thrives under the culture of impunity. We must put together a system where these issues are expeditiously handled and tackled. And then let us remove this idea of morality and the culture of blame. A victim is a victim, whether he contributed or not. It's a secondary issue. Someone has been raped, that person is a victim. Yes. Leave the issue of whatever the person did to necessitate that. Yes. Okay? Whoever committed that crime should be held accountable without looking at the other side. Those things are secondary considerations that you have to look at later. They don't ask, what were you wearing? Why did you go there at this particular time? Those are non-issues with regard to investigation of rape. They can be research issues, but for accountability, they are non-issues.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Harry.
Always remember to call the National Human Rights Commission.
Okay, please share the number here. Please share the number here.
Yeah, the number is 080 064 72 426. And for if you have a standard keypad, it is 080 NHRC GBV. Okay. We are working to working so hard to have a short code of at least 3 or 2 numbers.
Yeah, you need a short code like a 911, yeah, because this long one, I'm sure
yes.
the victim will not remember. Okay, thank you very, very much. Bumi, your last word, please, briefly.
Yes. My last word is people should start, well, they have started talking out immediately, but we still have a lot of people that can't just brave it to talk out, and it is very, very essential to talk out. Tell somebody will know where you will get respite immediately. And there are some organizations, there are so many platforms now. Once you talk out, people will refer you. We have child advocate platform, and it is throughout the federation. Even neighboring countries are joining that platform, to make sure that people are not raped and go scot-free.
Thank you very much, Bumi.
Once you talk to somebody, somebody can talk to somebody, and you will get respect.
Yes, and that's why we also have the social media. Thank you very much, Bumi. Paris, your last word, please, briefly.
My last word is to parents and children, if there's anyone watching. They should educate their children very well. They should give them sex education. Pedophiles hate vocal children. Once you call them your wife and say, why are you calling me your wife? Or you want to touch them somewhere and they say, uncle, why do you want to touch me? They run. Pedophiles don't want a child that talks. We should remove that tradition of you don't look at your elders in the eyes, or if your elder is talking to you, you look down. You should have respect. There should not be any respect for an elder that wants to touch you inappropriately. So the children should be very vocal. Once they are vocal, once they can speak out, sharp-mouthed kids, pedophiles don't like them. So parents, teach your children to have sharp mouth. Let them be able to talk. Let them look the pedophile in the eye and say, uncle, why do you want to touch me? Why do you want to see my pants? No, uncle. Such things repel the pedophiles.
Okay, thank you very much. Your last word, please.
I believe that non-governmental organizations should do more. Many cases that we've had came out of children that heard these people come to campaign in their schools, and they write out their questions out and they report. So more sensitization, more awareness should go on, and it will help allow people to speak out more.
Thank you very much. And the days of raping anyone at all and go walking is over. And the NTA, we stand against rape and rapists. We will follow the cases until justice are rightly served. So until next week, when another episode of the panel comes your way, I am Jennifer Igwe. Stay safe.